On this week's Sucka Shots, we talk Vitor Belfort, Cynthia Calvillo, some big matchups announced in the UFC lightweight division, and of course, we talk some UFC 220 and Bellator 192. Hello again. I am Jason Burgos, senior editor for MMASucka.com, and welcome back to a new episode of Sucka Shots for the week of January 14th to the 20th. As always in the sport of MMA, and in any sport really, we have a lot of things to talk about in this week in review video podcast. As always, we'll get right into it right away. Early in the week, one of our own MMASucka.com writer, Michael DeSantis, had two really good pieces on up-and-coming, or not even up-and-coming, they've been around for a while, honestly, they just have up-and-coming talent, and that is on excuse me, that is on Shamrock FC. Two different stories. One was Adam Sella looking for confirmation, not revenge, and Colton Cole rematch, and that was Shamrock FC's Corbin Howard, more than ready for pro debut. Both by Michael, great pieces. You really got to look at them. I mean, what's great about the sport in general, it is really a strength coming around the sport in all kinds of levels, and it's really coming along. It's not just about the big companies anymore. It's just not about Bellator, or back in the day it was Pride and UFC, or just when it was UFC by itself. There are a lot of strong organizations across the country, in the US, in Europe, in Asia, all over the place. They're doing strong things and developing talent for every major company, be it for a Ryzen show, KSW, ACB, Bellator, UFC. A lot of strong companies out there. Shamrock FC is definitely one I've been around for a long time, and we cover them here on MMASucka quite a bit, so look out for those stories. Now, moving along from the Shamrock FC stuff, there's this guy. Vitor Belfort had a very interesting week. He had a fight plan just a couple weekends ago against Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall has a terrible weight cut. He faints. He as he put it, he had like a mini seizure and a mini heart attack. He just didn't have a good weight cut. So Vitor Belfort doesn't have the fight. So the question was, will Vitor Belfort, who it's no fault himself, who's not going to have a fight on the card, get some kind of payout? I mean, maybe not full, maybe a partial, but some kind of payout for putting in the effort of getting there to fight night and making weight, which he did. He did not, which is also all the more surprising because there have been guys like, say, Timothy Elliott, who did get a partial payout for his fight that didn't happen a few weeks ago before it was rescheduled, I think 2 weeks or so later. So it was like, that's surprising because there's even been surprises they got full payouts when their opponent didn't make it to fight night. Why Vitor, this legendary figure who's had been in a bunch of UFC main events and been in a lot of big fights, did not get it? Well, it seems like Dana White, Mr. Vitor Belfort, got on Dana White's bad side because Dana White made comments that he offered Vitor a fight, a new opponent that night. Vitor declined, and then he offered Vitor another opponent for the week later, and he declined, which is understandable if you don't want to pay them for that. But then again, Vitor Belfort has the choice. He's the fighter. He's the one getting into the octagon and making the decisions and putting his life and health on the line. And if he doesn't want to take those fights on short notice, can you blame him? Especially for a guy that has said this is going to be his retirement fight. Who wants to have a retirement fight after such a long career on a short notice fight? That's not how it should work, and that's not how he should be treated unless you're on Dana's bad side, and this is kind of what happens. Also, why, and this is the problem with not having a union in the sport, and maybe the Ali Act changes certain things, or just a union finally gets ratified, how is there not a system in place where if an opponent, no fault to the fighters, doesn't make it to weight, doesn't make weight, doesn't make it to the show, how is there not a system in place where these guys get paid? They get something for the effort to go through a 6-8 week, whatever length camp and not get any kind of payment for it. I see it's very unfair, and maybe you don't give them the whole payout, but maybe some agreement they get 55%, 45%, something for the effort they put in to this, especially for a company that's making tons of money, hundreds of millions of revenue per year. It's really rough, and I see why some UFC fighters are getting disenfranchised, and it's a story to maybe look out for in the future because it's something that needs to really change. Moving on from there, another unfortunate story was when Cynthia Calvillo, she gets popped for marijuana metabolites. Weird thing. I mean, it's a weird situation when you have federal laws that are against, and you look at marijuana a certain way, and then state laws are different. I mean, you got states legalized, you got states making tons of money on marijuana, and then you have this happen, and it's a real weird thing. I mean, everybody's opinions are different on marijuana use, but is anybody really looking at marijuana as a performance enhancer? I mean, I guess, and then I'm sure the debate, oh, talk about other drugs, alcohol, all these other things, but they're allowed. I mean, alcohol's allowed and whatever, but it's a weird, unfortunate situation. Who knows how long she's going to be suspended? I'm guessing it's probably, since it's the first offense, is going to be a shorter suspension, maybe a 6 months kind of thing. But it's unfortunate for a fighter who's really making her way up. Yeah, unfortunate loss to Carlos Barza, that her career is going to be derailed for a short amount of time for marijuana metabolites. Not even like something like what John Jones got himself into, Chael Sonnen, Josh Barnett, tons of guys that got popped for serious stuff, and she's going to be on the sidelines for a while. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for fans, and it's unfortunate for the UFC. Moving on from there, big fights have been announced this week in the lightweight division of the UFC. This one is a big one because this guy right here, Dustin Poirier, has really been fantastic since moving from featherweight to lightweight, and he's been in the conversation seriously for a title shot. It's just unfortunate he's in the division with Conor McGregor, who's not really defending his title, holding onto the belt. You got interim titles, but Dustin Poirier has been fantastic. Had another big win against Anthony Pettis in his last outing, and he's been calling for Eddie Alvarez, and it seems like all indications are Eddie Alvarez does not want anything to do with that fight, especially after their first fight where it looked like he was having a tough time with Dustin Poirier. But Dustin Poirier will not be fighting Eddie Alvarez. He'll be getting Justin Gaethje in the headliner of an up-and-coming UFC on Fox event, I believe, in April. And that's a good fight. I mean, I think Poirier wins. He should be the number one contender to what I'm going to talk about in the next bit. But, I mean, he's right there. Justin Gaethje's coming off a loss. I don't think a win over Poirier after a loss probably gets him a title shot. Maybe it does because we're having some upcoming eliminators going on here. But Poirier has to be in the conversation for a title shot with the victory. Either way, that's a fantastic fight. I'm excited for that. I mean, it's going to be a scrap and a half. Two guys that are not looking for takedowns. Two guys that are looking to go at it. Tough, durable, veterans. My God. That's fight of the year potential right there. Moving on from there, we have this fight. Finally, when as announced at the press conferences for UFC 220 this week, Khabib and Ferguson, Ferg are going to get it on again, or we're going to try to hope it happens this time after what happened with Khabib last time and the weight cut issues. I mean, we all want this fight. To me, this is the best fight that could be made at lightweight. We all know how good Conor is, but for a guy that hasn't fought in over a year, I think it's going on 500 days now, he hasn't fought in MMA. He's becoming irrelevant, honestly. And these two guys have been fighting in the division for a long time. Yeah, Khabib has had his hiatuses because of issues, but he's been one of the best guys, undefeated, just a monster, Russian bear destroyer. And Ferguson has been one of the more active guys in the sport, especially in the division. I mean, this is an exciting fight. It's a battle of pure wills going at it. Want to give credit to Jeremy Brand, MMASucka founder, for posting and reporting this story for us. It's a battle of wills. Whose will is going to win on? I can't wait to see it. It's going to be amazing. Also announced on that same card, I believe, it's for Madison Square Garden card in a few months. Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Rose Namajunas are going to rematch. That's going to be the co-main event in that card, so it's going to have a double title match. The annoying thing about this whole thing with Conor is at the press conference where this fight was announced, Dana White, no matter how many ways reporters and MMA media tried to ask him and change the question, he would not flat out say Conor has been stripped. Yet he kept on saying this fight is supposed to be for the undisputed lightweight title. I don't get it. I mean, are they literally seriously just scared of making Conor angry? They've already stripped him of one title. If he gets angry, it is what it is. You have two outstanding fighters right here. Chances are this is going to be an amazing fight. It's probably going to be worth an immediate rematch kind of thing, whoever wins. If Conor doesn't fight again for, who cares, another year, it doesn't matter. The division's strong. You got Poirier, like I just mentioned. You got Justin Gaethje coming up. You got a bunch of guys. Josh Emmett, who was looking like he was going to fight, as I talked about last week, would possibly, excuse me. That's Josh Emmett's featherweight, actually. But, a lot of good guys in the division. Strong things going on. Lightweight's always been a division that's had depth and always talented. I don't get it. It's weirdly, this is the bad thing what's going on in the UFC. They're really pandering to certain fighters, especially Conor, because no doubt he's one of the biggest stars maybe ever. He is the biggest star ever in terms of gross ticket sales, pay-per-view buys. But you can't dictate your business model on one guy. And if he doesn't want to fight, oh well. If he gets mad about, oh well, where's he going to go? He has a contract. If he doesn't want to fight, you have a contract that he has to fulfill. He can't just bounce around and go fight somewhere else. So really strange. It's like an interim undisputed title fight. I don't get it. Either way, I'm super excited. If the winner eventually fights Conor, great. That's a great fight. But whatever. Two amazing fights announced in the lightweight division this week. But moving on to the big events this week, you had Bellator 192, a great card, a lot of good action, a lot of fun stuff. I say the main fallout from the event, Aaron Pico has his third fight, a professional fight. The super prospect in the sport of MMA after his tough, really difficult situation of having to be fighting one fight in amateurs and make his debut Madison Square Garden, one of the biggest cards in Bellator history. He loses. Since then, he's come back with a sick knockout of the year, knockout his last fight. This week in Bellator 192, he just a body shot from Pico, and I believe he's pulling Crutchin, and just straight up folded the guy, ended the fight, showing how super talented this man is. That he's not only a Olympic level kind of wrestler who's a freakish athlete, he's showing the Golden Gloves talent that he had years ago. And boy, working with Freddie Roach, man, a body shot, it's a thing of beauty. Also at the card, Rory McDonald fights Douglas Lima for the Bellator welterweight title. Really interesting fight. Maybe not a barn burner, but very tactical. A lot of clinch work from Rory. Controlled the fight for the first 2.5 rounds. Then the leg kicks from Lima, he's just a beast. Really started wearing on Rory. Makes his left leg looks like he got a calf on both sides. And eventually Rory McDonald guts it out, shows championship heart in the 5th round, gets a big takedown, rides out, gets the win. Rory McDonald, new welterweight champion. That's a fight that could be an easy rematch of down the line. Either way, the welterweight division, Bellator is very strong. They've got a name, young champion who's not even 38 in Rory McDonald. That's a big one. Interesting fight. Also, Chael Sonnen fights Rampage. Sonnen wins. I was impressed in that he did get takedowns, especially with Rampage being so confident that he bet Chael Sonnen $10,000 a takedown in that fight. So he owes Chael Sonnen $30,000 at this point. Chael big takedown, especially with like a 30-pound weight advantage for Rampage. Rampage just, even though he said he felt good, he just looked slow. He looked too big. He wasn't a fat 253, but the fact that Rampage Jackson was about a few pounds lighter than Francis Ngannou this weekend, a little ridiculous. Too big. He needs to probably be more like a 220, 230 tops if he wants to still be good at 39 years old. But Sonnen moves on to the next round of the heavyweight tournament, which he will fight the winner of Frank Mir and Fedor, which is a fight that I believe happens in Chicago in a few months. But good card for Bellator. It was a great night of fights in general. And moving on from just Bellator, on Saturday night we also had UFC 220, which was a good card. A lot of good solid fights on the lower end of the main card and on the prelims. But of course, everybody was talking about the two main event. Honestly, it was really not even a co. You had two title fights. Yeah. Daniel Cormier against Volkan Ozdemir. I'm saying Alex because I would like him to fight Alexander Gustafsson. Daniel Cormier retains. I mean, you have to start talking about, is Daniel Cormier, I think he's already in the conversation as the top 3 American fighters in MMA history. I mean, there's got to be a debate about what happens. Of course, he lost to John Jones twice, but John Jones and his PED use, his career has to be a lot in question. Maybe he comes back from this. He fights 8 more years, he wins a heavyweight title, and he puts all his doubts to rest, and then we'll look at it differently in 10 years. But right now, I mean, you can make you can have a debate that Dan Cormier is maybe the best American MMA fighter of all time. I mean, I think he's in the conversation for top 5, top 10 in general. In the likes of, maybe he's not the 1As in John Jones, Silva, GSP, some of those guys. But he's right there with the Dan Hendersons, the Randy Couture's, the BJ Penns, the Jose Aldo's. One of the best ever. Amazing at 38, still dominating younger men. And just showing how that Olympic level wrestling, the skill, just fascinating. Moving on from there, you have Francis Ngannou versus Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic solidifies the fact that he's arguably the best heavyweight champion of all time. He breaks the record in terms of UFC heavyweight title defenses. I mean, it's staggering how many great UFC heavyweight champions there have been that have never got past 2 defenses. He does it against one of the scariest fighters we've seen on this, since Anthony Johnson, Mike Tyson-esque kind of character in the sport. But Stipe showed his veteran resume. He's a champion for a reason. He used savvy, cunning. He weathered the early hurricane of Ngannou and just let him tire himself out, and it became pretty much easy work for him the last 4 rounds. just being careful. Of course, he maybe could have finished him. He took some risks. Who's going to take risk against this guy who, even in the 5th round, dead tired, Ngannou landed a shot on Stipe. It was like, whoa, he might hurt him. Yeah, Stipe's got to be in the conversation. He's up there with Kane, Fedor, whatever you think about Kane, Fedor in Japan and all the non-steroid stuff. But, I mean, he's right there, one of the best ever. Like, a meat and potatoes, just unbelievable guy. Showed for the first time, he's not only just a guy who's talented, he can wrestle, he can box, he has strategy, he has tactics in and before the fight. After the event, a lot of conversation from Dana White talking about Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic fight. As a diehard Daniel Cormier, I would love that fight. That would, again, if Daniel Cormier could win that fight, which he would have a shot, would solidify him as maybe one of the greatest ever. Having a 2-division, be a champion in 2 divisions at the same time and in general. But Dan's that kind of shot down that possibility because close friend Cain Velasquez is looking to be coming back this year. And, he doesn't want to step on his friend's toes, even though Dana White suggested, hey, fight him, win a title, and relinquish it. But Daniel's not. Look, I want the fight. I hope that fight happens, especially since both have pretty much cleaned up the division. There's not much more for them to do. Not clear contenders. I mean, it's Alexander Gustafsson in 205, but he just had a surgery. He's not really probably on the way back real soon. So it's an interesting thing. I'm curious how that debate goes going forward. Also want to mention going from there, some good fun pieces always every week or every event from Justin Purot. Hope I'm saying that right, Justin. He has the walkout consultant that he does every time there's a big event. He even had one for the opening of the year. It's fun read. Always should look out for the walkout consultant stuff. It's talking about walkout music for fighters. It's a little fun. It's interesting. Give you some thoughts on new music going on today. But that is it for Sucka Shots for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. You can always follow me, Jason Burgos, on Twitter at CheapSeatsChat and on Instagram on Jericho at Jericho Vendetta. Until next time, everybody, bye-bye.